That's some loud noises. What's going on
So
there?
now this moving a chair.
Ah, okay.
Sure.
Um, I don't even know if this thing is actually working. Um, let's
And I
see.
got the same top on also.
Really?
Yeah. It's I call it my fresh Man United top. This t-shirt we bought when we were there, and you bought one, and I think we bought one for Roy, and you guys have worn yours already, and mine is still fresh.
Oh, okay. Lucky, lucky, lucky.
What bad guy laugh was that? Oh, yeah.
That was a bad guy laugh, wasn't it?
Yeah, bruh. I smell pulling at Ali's out for sushi also.
I'm telling you, I wish we could just. I wonder if this thing's even running or not.
What thing?
Streaming. Well, look, I think the stream is up now, so I think we're good. Yeah, so guys, some heavy technical difficulties, unfortunately. That's what you get for trying something on the last day of the season, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe Liverpool are gonna try something for the last day of the season, you know? Salah on the bench, Origi hat trick, and then Sterling and Aguero crying in the 90th minute as Burnley score,
Brighton.
Brighton score. Maybe it happened to City. It happened to City. I mean, it happened to United a few years ago. You know.
Yeah, look, you never know, but I mean, professionally, you would think Pep would have prepared for those type of things. I mean, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, just to start this thing properly off, welcome back everybody. It's the last day of the season. Last day.
Last, yeah.
Uh,
Please excuse my picture there. I came back from the snap, but I came back as a paraplegic. I don't know. I thought you're supposed to come back from the snap as normal. Then Iron Man screwed me.
yeah. And then I must if you're apologizing, if you're in an apologizing mood, then I better apologize for this hat because this red is probably the closest I'll get to wearing a red hat with an M on it. Because supporting Mario instead of United. I don't know. That's the way it's gonna go.
Oh,
But
well, you can chain it up and say Mario Balotelli used to play for City, so therefore.
yeah, okay, fair enough. Can say it like that. Okay, so yeah, man, I just spoke. I was speaking to a couple of fans, whatever. I told you I was gonna get some voice notes from them to see what they had to say.
Should
So
we do the captains first?
sorry,
Should we do the captains first?
we can, but I just wanted to play just this one to for
No.
people to hopefully this will actually work.
Firstly, I'd like to thank the Fantasy team, Points Master Itz, and High Score Suj for a great show throughout the season. Thanks for the great captain picks as well. You guys had a nice long run of good captain choices. Um, a few game weeks you guys got it wrong, but well done overall. I'd like to congratulate also all the FPL managers that won their mini leagues. Congratulations on doing so well. And also to all the managers that really played hard this season and finished quite high up the league. Unlike me, I must say, I had a terrible season. But yeah, congratulations and thanks again, guys. Look forward to seeing you guys next season, and hopefully we get more guys joining this channel and joining our mini league.
I swear we did not pay him to say any of that. That all came from him, I swear.
Pandering, but yeah, no, thanks. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. I know we make it look like it's so wonderful, but it's not as easy as it looks, eh?
yeah, no, I mean, look, it's been a hard road, yeah. Um, especially like we've learned a lot about creating a show. Who knew that all these people online that are creating stuff on YouTube? I thought it was just like like on TV, someone just comes there, sets up everything, you sit down, you just talk like you're having a chat with the guys over a beer.
Yeah.
Definitely not that.
No,
And
definitely not.
if I was to say anything about anybody thinking about joining YouTube, do not do it. There are way too many. We don't need you.
And it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work as well. But yeah, since we're talking about our captain picks for the week, we obviously got to do this. Here's our usual suspects. So Suj, talk me through it, man. Let's get to Mane first.
Yeah, look, the two obvious teams are obviously Liverpool and City to go for if you're wanting points because they got something to play for. The reason I went with Mane is because Salah still got that bit of a knock, that concussion thing that he's coming
Yeah.
out of. But I think that seems like he will play. However, whoever still has him should just captain him because I don't see you having him and Mane and Aguero and Sterling. So.
Yeah, no, agreed. But I mean, wouldn't this be the week where people might take a chance with the bench boost and then maybe get rid of all their expensive defenders and then they would bring in like a top heavy team?
Well, you first have to have that bench boost at the last day of the season. How many people still have chips on the last day of the season besides me with my triple captain?
Yo, triple captain for the
That's,
last day.
that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going for the bench boost myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get back to Mane though. Well, what is there to say about Mane? He's the least injured in that team recently. And look, he hasn't been on over form in the last 2 games, but he's been on very decent form in the last like 10 or 12 games. And he's a big part of that team.
Okay. But and what do we have to say about it? They're playing Wolves, right?
Yeah.
So as I understand it, I think they've let in about 6 in their last 6. So I mean, only 1 per game. I don't know. Does that seem like a very high scoring game possibility? I mean, especially with Liverpool knowing there's a Champions League coming up and stuff like that.
Well, look, because the games are at the same time, if they hear at halftime that City are 1-0 down, they know they have to go and secure those points irrespective, so they'll carry on. While the
Okay.
inverse, if City are 2-0 or 3-0 up, then obviously they'll rest Owens for the Champions League.
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me. I wonder if the Premier League show while you're watching the game, are they gonna do that Mario Kart thing? You know, where people swap positions and then the
Yeah, they
blocks
should
move
do
up
that.
and down to see who's. You know they're gonna do that. You know.
And then City will come with the blue shell and just show everybody what's there.
Blue shell. How appropriate.
Yeah. Well, look, the red shell is not that bad because if you're just behind your opponent, you can take him out. So,
Okay, yo. So there's the appropriate metaphor.
yeah.
Okay, moving on to we are talking about Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling. Well, the same thing goes for him and Aguero. They're going for that Premier League title, and Sterling is the form player when it comes to him and Aguero when it's away from home.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, I feel like he hasn't quite. I mean, it's not that he hasn't been playing well. He just hasn't really produced in the last 3 or 4 games. Sterling.
Yeah. Well, he just got PFA Young Player of the Season, so hopefully that boosts him up a bit.
Yeah. And how close is he and Aguero to the Golden Boot?
Salah's on 22, Mane's on 20, Aguero's on 20, and I think Sterling's on 17.
Okay, so he's a bit off. He's a bit so Sterling is definitely a bit off.
Yeah.
And what about the opponents, Brighton?
Yo, Brighton in the last game against Arsenal, they weren't too bad. They had a 1-1 draw there, and they didn't give Arsenal any room to move. So,
Yeah.
and they're at home this time.
Because I mean, look, to be honest, I think Wolves with their yellow kit is more of a banana peel than Brighton might be. But like
Yeah,
you say, I mean, they did go up against Arsenal on Sunday, I think it was
yeah,
last Sunday. So
yeah.
I mean, stuff might happen. But I mean, like, is there chance for a double-digit haul here? Because I mean, I still don't think Brighton are gonna be any problem.
Well, it depends on which Brighton turns up. You know, I mean, because they can, like Pep was saying, that they can do one of two things. They can just sit there and defend and like don't worry about the game because they basically secured in the league.
Yeah.
Or they can say screw it and just go all out and try and attack them and try to win. I mean, that
Yeah.
would play more into City's hands than the first one because
Yeah.
you know, that parking that pass is a bit difficult for City recently.
Yeah. No lies, Brighton. They lucky Mr. Warren G didn't come and grab them, young. They didn't see the regulators.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and moving on to Aguero, probably the most obvious pick of the week.
Yeah, he's going for Golden Boot. I think that's the main threat. That's why people are captaining him.
Yeah.
But
And
remember, his record for the season away from home hasn't been fantastic at all. I think Sterling's got a better record away from home. But
okay, that's
it's also
important.
the last day of the season, so I don't think that should make any difference. Man.
Yeah. So you're just counting on his how can I say
I'm counting on
golden
the
boot and all that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the occasion that's happening.
I'm just looking at the stat here. During this calendar year, which is game week 21 to 37, he had a total of 15 FPL involvements, 11 goals and 4 assists,
Yo,
uh, ranking joint first amongst forwards, and producing an average of 6.4 ppg.
that's points per game. Yeah. That's
I was
good.
wondering what ppg stand for. No, really, I can never remember what all of these stats and all that means, all that nonsense. But
But
yeah,
yeah, it looks like everybody's going with Aguero, man. All the polls, when you look at all the sites, Aguero's head and shoulders above everyone. But I mean, it depends on where you are in your mini league. Maybe you want to take a chance and go completely against the grain because you got nothing to lose. Then the point is going with City and City and Liverpool. You might as well just enjoy the match without the captain from there because there
yeah,
are other picks that you could take.
perfect transition there. Clearly according to script. Well done. Now we go to our differentials here. And
Yeah.
yeah, some of these people might look a bit unfamiliar. But let's start with the one on the far right or left, if I'm looking at it. Left.
It is. It's fine.
We are talking about Ayoze Perez. What has
Yeah.
Perez got that can possibly tickle your fancy for the last day?
Yeah, look, he's been on form for the last couple of weeks, scoring 5 goals in 4 games.
Okay.
And against Liverpool also was one of them. Plus, they're up against Fulham,
Yeah.
who's been absolutely terrible this season when it comes to conceding goals and stuff. But maybe Babel will have something to say because he wants to be sold. But
Okay.
yeah, Newcastle, I think Perez seems to have a thing going there.
But I mean, they are playing away from home in this last game, and I don't think Newcastle have been fantastic away from home. I mean,
Look,
yes, I mean, look, I think the home and away thing might be a bit overstated for the last day of the season, eh? Maybe that's not as important, especially since most of these teams, their positions really can't change.
yeah, look, generally the home team would want to do better because they'll do a lap of honor at the end of the thing
Right.
and the
Right. I
fans
forget
and
about that.
stuff. But when we started the thing, it said differential, so I went complete differential. I didn't take into account whether they were playing away or at home.
Yeah. Okay. No. Fair enough.
To try and
Um.
use if you have them, or to try and bring them in just to win your mini league or beat the guy in front of you or whatever it is.
Okay. So looking at the next one there, whoever he is clearly plays for Man United, and I don't know if he's looking at the bench and he's like, we got Sanchez there. I don't know if he's gonna help.
Resembles, when you look at that picture, he resembles Jesus with hair, basically.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's Mason Greenwood. He plays for the United's reserve team, and he's been on some very nice form recently. And in
Oh yes, I remember hearing about him. They're saying like he's basically got like Messi like form in the reserves, but I'm like,
yeah, 26
uh,
goals, in
yeah.
29 games, I would call that Messi type form.
Wait, say it again.
I said 26 goals in 29 games. I
Wow.
would call that some good form.
Okay.
Plus, in Ole's interview, he did say he will be starting with a few of the juniors and stuff. So I probably think that Chong and McTominay, maybe even Gomez, will start.
Angel Gomez.
Yeah,
Okay.
including Mason, because I think Mason is the one who actually deserves the chance at the
Yeah.
most.
And you
And
wouldn't consider Pogba? You wouldn't consider Pogba for this game?
I think Pogba might be a bit upset in this game he had to play today because, you know, he didn't get the United's player of the season, so he might be a bit, nah and stuff. So,
Oh, who did?
Luke Shaw,
I totally agree with it. Totally agree with
I
it.
do too.
Yeah.
I disagree that Pogba shouldn't get it.
Yeah. Okay, but
No, but that
wait,
aside,
there was
yeah.
something I'm seeing that he was injured against in the Huddersfield game. Apparently, I don't remember that, but apparently it was true. So there is that little bit of worry. And then what about Lukaku? You don't think Lukaku might?
He's injured, eh? I think his season's over.
Oh, good.
But look,
time to
back
jump
to that
on.
Pogba one, he's also a decent punt. But I mean, we're going total differential. Yeah, anybody will think, okay, let me get the player who's playing the weakest team and get a guy who's scoring the penalties and stuff like Pogba. Who knows?
Okay.
Pogba might be even rested today. We don't know.
Okay, okay. Right, then let's talk about Mr. Redmond, Nathan Redmond. I know he's been a FPL asset for a good long while. He's a
Yeah.
very streaky usually, on and off. But what's your case for him?
Look, the reason why I put him on this list is because I was watching the last game and they didn't start with him. He was on the bench for the first half. and they didn't do decently well. And then when he came on second half, that game transformed and they like finished off well. Then the manager at the end of the game said, "Yeah, when Redmond and I think it was Ward-Prowse that came on at halftime, it completely changed the game for them." So I thought to myself, okay, here we go. So does well when he plays. The coach is talking about him. Plus, their opposition is Huddersfield. You know, so
Yeah.
it basically puts everything into perspective. I mean, he has scored 5 goals and 4 assists. I mean, 5 goals and 5 assists this season.
Yeah. To be honest with Southampton, I mean, there was a moment about 2 months ago where you thought, yo, these guys are their game over. And then they just hauled themselves out of it completely.
Uh,
Like 2, 3 months ago. Yeah.
the manager did very well there when he came in.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, Southampton for the last day, they're playing Huddersfield now. That's an out of these maybe you might even say a lock. But talking about the last guy on the list over there, which is I think that's Lucas Digne, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, Digne, I've had him my own personal team, and I haven't taken him out for quite a while because I had other problems that were going on. And under the radar in the last couple of games, he's just been scoring. Like, he's had 34 points in his last 3 games.
Yeah,
And the reason why it sounds like I'm smiling and saying it is because all my opposition that was fighting against me took him out with their wild cards and stuff because he wasn't playing a double. So I was smiling for the last 3 weeks.
yeah. Everton's another team that just like managed to like string together a bunch of wins for Mahala.
Yeah, and who knows how mentally fatigued Spurs are from that fantastic game they played against Ajax.
Ooh, yeah, no, we'll cover those a little later. But
Yeah.
agreed. So yeah, man, I mean, Digne he's been a solid performer, I think, throughout the season. Just in the beginning, he kind of screwed me over because I really thought no, I was betting on him. I was like, no, this guy's gonna do well this season, and then he just did nothing, didn't get to play, nothing, left him alone, and then all of a sudden he started getting into the team, started scoring. I bring him in, he stopped scoring. I take him out. I make my wild card. I take him out, and I won this battle.
Yeah, no, that's how it goes.
Yeah. But and against Spurs, do you think Spurs will rest a lot of their players?
They seem to be secure in the league. Am I right? I think third is theirs, or just a
Uh,
point better for
no,
them.
actually, I think Chelsea are third now.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah,
Also,
Chelsea
they
are
are
third.
fighting helpful.
Can actually pull up
Well,
the Premier League table. That will actually be a good idea. Premier League table. I love the internet. Imagine I would have to pull up a newspaper. 15 years ago, pull out a newspaper to check it.
yeah, you'd have to go look for it first.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
Tottenham are in
yeah,
fourth.
Tottenham in fourth.
So, they're 3 points ahead of Arsenal, so they just need a point.
Yeah, and I mean their goal difference is big enough that Arsenal are basically out of it. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless the Spurs lose like 4-0 and Arsenal win 5-0, so mathematically possible. And we all know that Arsenal are the best at turning situations like this around.
Ah, okay. Arsenal also have a final to look forward to, so they'll.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's our differential picks. I might have even given a mention to Arnautovic. I mean, he had a big points haul, like 13 or 14 in the last game.
Yeah,
And
but
they're
that's the
playing and
first
they're
time
playing
in like months.
Yeah, no, true. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of players that, you
Okay.
know, this is that game week where a
Yeah.
total unexpected guy will score like a hat trick, and you'll be like, damn, I wish I had him. Meanwhile, it's like you wouldn't have even thought of him. He didn't even exist in your world until he scored those goals.
Yes, we know you had I know you had the experience with Dempsey a good couple. Captain him, hat trick, and nobody else even had him. Nice.
Exactly. So yeah, man. That's our captain's picks for the week. Yeah, let's see where we go from here. What I wanted to do was actually go through some of our fan stuff, like people that have been pointing out some things.
Yeah.
Just to hear what they have to say, and then we can kind of talk to because I'd like to talk more about like the season as a whole, you know.
Okay.
So let me just get to it. Right. So I think the next one we've got here is talk about is someone I know from my office actually, and he's been playing FPL for quite a while, and I just wanted to hear. Let's just listen to his comments and then see what we have to say about it afterwards. So here we go. we go.
What I really hated about this fantasy football season was the Friday night games, in that I've been caught several times with my pants down, not having made changes, and so it's been quite frustrating when you didn't do your picks, or you just started lining up your picks on a Friday evening only to realize that the game week had already started. So yeah, thanks to BT Sports, I guess, for getting those random game weeks. I wasn't able to maximize on a lot of points as a result.
Yeah, so yeah, what he was just obviously talking about there is the Friday night games
Yeah,
that appeared. Like, I mean, they were actually more frequent maybe this season than they've been before. And he was kind of like cheesed off, obviously, that you to make those changes, sometimes you just forget, or sometimes I think they've set it up. It hasn't been like start of the season they're gonna play on a Friday, right?
no,
No. So I mean, so some of the managers out there might have like missed out. Like I know I missed out on a couple of occasions just to make like the right pick for that Friday.
yeah.
But I mean, what can really be done about that, honestly?
Make your changes earlier in the week and set your team up so you won't have to get caught like that. Or you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it next season. I believe they're going to have Friday night games. Like this season, I think they had like one, or I think it was in total 5 of them that was on a Friday night. But I think from next season, they're going to have proper Friday night games as part of the weekend games.
Oh, okay. So it'll be like a regular Friday.
Yeah, so maybe Robin can be used to making his captain choices by the Friday.
Yeah, yeah, okay, fair enough. But what about like I'm thinking maybe we can, or somebody can create an app, that can, like a push notification to kind of say, hey, you've got 12 hours left to make your changes.
Okay,
How
yeah.
nice would that be if you're just on your phone wherever you are, and then suddenly they'll just like you'll just get. Because I mean, even if you're not gonna think about what your change is, the you really just want to be able to say, yeah, oh shit, I know this thing's telling me I must make sure to make changes before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Friday night games coming into play, then won't price changes be a very relevant thing to look at?
Well, it was this season also, but I mean, there's so many people playing this game, and the fluctuation of price changes was so hectic that it was difficult to keep a track of it. To
That's true,
actually,
and I mean, doing one episode a week is it's a bit tough to be able to say let's go over the price changes because I mean, but maybe we can tweet out something, or like, there's actually lots of people out there that do tweet out about the like price changes and stuff like that. Maybe we just need to
or
follow
what
them.
everyone can do is just put the notification on the fantasy um,
Twitter,
channel. And
Twitter account, yeah.
we always make our video before the deadline. So when he gets a notification for that, he knows, it's time to make changes.
Yeah, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Right. So moving on to our next one, another manager from our mini league actually. He's just gonna talk about what he thought about what he thinks about fantasy league, right? Let's see. Go ahead with him there and go.
The thing I loved about this FPL season, to be honest, I didn't love this season at all because of my terrible performance this season. And because this is well, let me say the one thing that I do love about FPL in general is that it's a risk-taking game. So you roll the dice and you see where you land. And for some reason this season I kept getting bitten by a snake and ending up all the way back down into the same position. So nothing really stands out for me to say that yeah, I love this FPL season. Um, Other than there were open chances where I could have gained points and I just messed it up. But yeah, nothing really that I loved about the season.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I must say, this season was like just going over what he said there. I mean, he was also just like G. Sorry, let me start this again. First, I must shout out to G because he's been watching every episode that we've been putting out, and
Yeah.
he's actually been following, and he was the one who spoke at the beginning also. Like he's actually done, he was doing decently with his captain picks and whatever, but as he mentioned later that he started falling apart. Like for every step he took forward, he took two steps backwards. But
Yeah.
it was interesting he said about the fact that the FPL is more of a risk-taking game. So I mean, would you agree that it's like, or do you think it's more based on skill, or do you think it's like the risk element, the luck element is bigger than we think?
I think it's a 50-50 on those two because if you don't put the effort in to look at what's going on and watch the games, you won't more or less have any context of what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, you're talking about that. I actually wanted to say, let me just bring up this article quick about that I found on BBC here. See, look at this. You get stuff like this, like an underachiever's guide to fantasy football, and it's neat because they explain to you like how you should like. This is definitely not a game where you can just make changes and sit at home and do nothing and allow quick changes.
Yeah.
That doesn't work definitely, right? But it's also not so strong that you have to go and read out every little thing. It's not like anticipating the plot of Star Wars, the last Star Wars movie where you want to see every little piece of detail and come up with your own. You don't need any of that theories. You
Yeah.
just need to take cognizant, be cognizant of of like some of the more relevant stats. Definitely
Yeah.
look at real life stats, and then I like this one here about watch football. Crazy, I know. The fantasy elite will actually watch football matches, just as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. You see now, like with that also. Now, I had a friend by the name of Riaz. He was a Muslim guy who never owned a TV. So what he would do, he would just see the results in the newspaper on the Monday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to talk, I used to like just mention to him who I thought was like playing well and stuff like that. And that guy came second in one of our mini leagues. He almost won it, and that's doing it without watching any of the games. But yet he had an interest where he would read articles and stuff about
Imagine a religious conservative
it.
is deep into fantasy league. This game attracts all kinds. It's no creed, no skin color, no nothing. You're
See,
just an anonymous manager, and everyone only knows you by by your team name, like
yeah,
Leesma Barcelona,
yeah.
or what were some of the funnier ones? Oh no, I have to now that I'm raving about this, I gotta put it up. There were some good ones. Like the form awakens. I really like that one.
What's your
Um,
one at the moment?
I don't need to change my one. It's usually Newton Heath.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's yours?
Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, Cirque du Soleil. Yeah,
And
it's
I
just a,
like a circus at the moment, and he's the ringleader.
yeah, exactly. Well, how appropriate. And funny league names. I mean, look at this. This is a ridiculous name. Uh, we just have to go through this list quickly. Well, there we go. A Merry Christmas, you and I.
Juan for the money, for the money.
One for the money.
I
Um, oh, Boomy Young. Yo, I don't know about that one.
yeah.
DJ
Obama
Destin.
Wang.
Son of a Begovic.
That was number two. Kamehameha. Is that a Dragon Ball?
That's a good one. Yo. Yeah. Hey, I noticed something when I'm looking at this league here. Not as many 2000s as I would have expected.
Shout out to my father who's in second there, 65-year-old man, almost ready to get 2,300 points.
Oh, I almost thought you were going to say almost one foot in the grave. Depends,
Oh,
eh? He'll only have a heart attack tonight if his team wins and City loses.
yeah.
You're a shame. He's been
Shame.
waiting more than 30 years for something to happen.
And may the wait continue.
You're cruel and unusual. You're shame. Giving up on him. Okay. Well, yeah, okay. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, yeah, some maybe suggestions about how the FPL should go. We are listening now to Neil, who is also in our fantasy league.
Uh, uh, what I didn't like about the Fantasy Premier League, there's not much. Maybe like when you have the World Cup Fantasy League, that you could substitute a player that hasn't played yet um, with a player that maybe performed weaker. I think that will help people boost their scores, be more competitive in the league, fantasy league. Yeah, that's it for.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk to that quickly. This has actually been a suggestion I've heard from a lot of FPL managers. They like this season. Obviously, they removed all out attack. Right? Wasn't all out attack the one they had last season?
Yes,
Right. So they removed that and they replaced it with help me,
with free.
free hit. Right. So okay, well let's talk about the free hit first. What did you think about that?
It was way better than that all-out attack nonsense. I like that free hit. It gives you a 1 week free ticket to get whoever you want.
Yeah, no, I also totally agree. It's kind of it's like nice like having like a wild like a cheap wild card that you can use, especially for like a double game week and knowing that it's not gonna cost you anything. I mean, even wild cards, as much as we love wild cards, they really are like a double-edged sword, you know, because you could use them and then you might gain a lot of points, but then some of the players you put in, you can't think short term, you got to think long term, you know,
Yeah,
and then you might
well,
end up back in the situation you were when you used your wild card, which is you have a bunch of players that can't that don't really fit, you know.
yeah.
But with the free hit, you can go like you can just basically put whoever you want in there, and then like no repercussions for
Well,
that one
within
week.
of course.
Imagine if you had the free hit on the last day of the season.
That was my going to be my next thing I was going to say. That would be awesome, especially if you're chasing a mini league. Then they can't read your team at all.
Yeah, and I mean the okay, but he did speak about so Neil did spoke about like maybe having the substitution feature. Where have I heard that from? Where have I heard that before?
Champions League format is like that. Oh, it's while we're talking about the Champions League, I'm still in the top 10 in South Africa in that one with the final game week to go.
Well done there. Well done.
Not bad. I got some very nice points this season. Yeah, but coming back to that substitution, I really enjoyed it because the World Cup one was played like that. And it gives you
Yes.
more chance to create a squad in your team so you can actually, substitute Owens in and change your captaincy. But who knows? FPL doesn't want to write more code to change the game.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they did with the free hits. So I mean, but you know what? Do you think that substitution feature would actually be like feasible?
Definitely.
Well, yeah,
Definitely.
I guess especially with the Friday night game definitely being there. But I mean,
Yeah.
with that, I mean, like in Champions League, right? You can follow a group or a particular couple. Like there's lots of big teams that can score points. Whereas in the Premier League, you know, you almost need something that's going to encourage you to try and pick some of the lower team players. And
And
then
if
if you can just substitute, wouldn't you get a situation where people will fill their team with like cheapies, right? And then spend a lot of money on like their Salahs and their Manes and stuff like that, knowing that they can just well I'll just substitute and put the other guy in.
Yes, that's exactly it. You want some insurance when your big guns don't score.
Okay, okay. No, look, that is a fair point. Maybe we can we must email those guys and tell them, hey, the substitution feature,
Yeah,
it's like VAR, okay? It's
I'm sure.
inevitable. We must have it.
Yes, I will rally all the fans of the show, and we will put out a petition.
Yeah. Okay. So let's stick with Neil because Neil has something to say about like actual like the fantasy how the league went, you know, like the assets and stuff like that. Um, well, at least at the very least, what he thought about. Let me see here. What he thought about like the season as a whole, I guess. And then we can talk from there. And so here we go.
What did I like about the Fantasy Premier League this season? It was quite a unpredictable season, in that being that it was quite close in the groups. A lot of players, unsuspecting players, performed quite well. It wasn't just Harry Kane and Aguero. It was Lacazette. It was Aubameyang, Son, Alexander Arnold, um, Robertson. A lot of, like I would say, unsuspecting players that you wouldn't expect to do that well. Um, yeah, like Madison also from Leicester, Chilwell. They all had quite a good season points wise. Yeah, and the wild cards, and yeah, I'd say that's about what I liked about the season. But me being a Man United fan, not many of my players, not many of our players performed well except maybe Pogba. But he's been on a recent slump, so that's me and what I liked about the Premier League, the Fantasy Premier League this season.
Yeah, so obviously Neil talking about about some of the players that piqued his interest, then doing a little bit of crying there, for Man United. He
Yeah.
mentioned some interesting names there, like Kane, Lacazette, and Robertson and stuff. Do you know, Suj? I will say out of all these players that he kind of mentioned here, do you know what was I think the overall theme of FPL points and stuff this season?
No.
Um, Lack of consistency. If you go and look at the points gathered by a lot of even the big players, right, like your Salahs and your Agueros and stuff like that, they've actually been highly inconsistent. Even someone like Hazard, Hazard has some decent points, not great, but decent points, right? But if you look throughout the season, like you'll see just how much they were spread over. Like a lot of them had like bad starts, and then they had a good middle, and then in the middle of that too, their streak would break, and then they wouldn't score for like 2 3 game weeks. Did you also see that same trend? Like that was the lack of consistency from a lot of these players. Like we didn't get our like Salah last season. There wasn't a single one this year who did that.
Now that I think about it, look, maybe my team actually absorbed all that type of thing because every time one of them didn't score, somebody else was scoring. But I get what you're saying about consistency. Look, the league is not like that anymore. You can't just go out and score every single game. Salah is still the highest scoring player in the game.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
And if he's not consistent, then I don't think anybody can be with less points than him.
Yeah. I think the only like the only time I think I saw like where you saw proper consistency, yeah, like you say, was in that middle to near the end section where Salah was starting to bang them in, and then Mane just like naturally took over from him, and
Yeah.
Mane went a solid 8 9 weeks just busting it up.
Let's remember something else. Back in my day when I was watching football in the 90s when United was dominating, strikers were scoring close on 30, 35 goals for the season.
Yes,
When
yes.
last have you heard a striker do that? That just shows that the level has gone so much higher with the smaller teams that you can't do that anymore. You have to lend to the fact that some guys will perform sometimes and other guys must perform other times.
Yeah, no, no, you're definitely right. I mean, even in FPL terms, like where like last season and in previous in seasons in the yesteryears, you'd have your Van Persies, your Ronaldos that you could just say captain him every week and then mess around with the rest of your team.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
sure, Salah kind of did that last season, but this season you were not able to do that, and so maybe even though the league itself wasn't too exciting, well, in the sense that like not everybody was competing for the title. You had a lot of like you had to make changes more. So if you slacked on that, it was curtains for you.
okay. Yeah, look, I agree to a point there.
Yeah. But while we are on this, we're talking about our fantasy assets or whatever, right? Who would you rate was like the best fantasy asset this season?
Hands down, without a doubt, Jimenez.
Jimenez.
Yes,
I
let me.
wrote I wrote him down exactly as well.
I'll tell you why from my point of view.
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago, when Leicester won the league, there was a certain guy by the name of Riyad Mahrez who I picked in my fantasy team from game week 1. He was valued at 5.5 million, went on to score over 200 points,
Mm.
right? At 5.5 million. So Jimenez now, he also started, I think, at 5.5, if I'm not mistaken, and he's on like 170 or 180 points.
Wow. Wow, eh?
So yeah,
And
I
you say with
really
the
enjoyed
with
that. I like watching him play. I mean, 13 goals, 10 assists. You can't ask for anything more from this Okie man.
yeah, for that price, I mean, he's like your Van der Vaart and your James and your uh, Clint Dempsey of the of the previous seasons.
Yeah.
Who was that guy from Swansea? Um,
Me.
Michu.
Yeah. Me
Remember
too.
Michu?
Yeah.
So you reckon Jimenez was this season's Michu?
Yeah, bro. I started on 5.5 and now he's 7.
I mean, for 7, it's still totally worth it, even if he
Of
started 7.
course.
What
If
do
he
you
was
think his
7 next season, I'd still grab him.
what do you think his price will be next season?
9.
9. No, man.
I'm
Come
telling
on.
you.
If Wolves were in the final of the FA Cup, maybe, but 9, that would be outrageous. You're probably right, but I mean that's heavy outrageous. Are they gonna just basically every time a player performs one season well, they just price him out of existence?
Sanchez. Yeah, I do think so. I do believe so.
Yeah. So okay, since we talk about Sanchez, worst flop.
Yeah, Sanchez.
Nah, but let's be honest here. Who actually picked Sanchez?
That is true, nobody, because
Yeah.
he wasn't even playing half the time anyway.
Can I mention who I think was the biggest flop?
Okay, Game, mention it while I think of one.
Harry Kane.
Oh, shame, man. Really?
Yes. I mean, we know Harry Kane's his trajectory, right, has just typically been do nothing in the like early part of the season, and
Yeah.
then become consistent straight after that. He's done that for like 5 seasons in a row. You know, he's supposed to be like the guy that up there who is competing with Aguero. But to be honest, this season I didn't find him doing that at all. He has scored 160 points, all right. So don't get me wrong. It's not like he didn't score anything, but I'm saying he's been heavily disappointing because other than from like game week 11 to about 21, right? So that 10 game week there, he scored all his goals, right? Like most of his goals. After that, he's just been injured, getting nothing, playing Champions League. Now, fair enough, Spurs have gone so far in the Champions League, so maybe he was overexposed, you know. And the fact that that Spurs squad is so thin that almost all of the responsibility was on him, considering that Dele Alli was underperforming, Ericsson wasn't available. So I don't necessarily blame him, but I just say disappointing in the sense that he should have maybe scored. I mean, look, let's just look how many he has scored, right? So
Yeah,
he
he's
still
got,
got
listen, he's
17.
got 17 goals and 6 assists, and out of the 37 games he missed, like 5, 9, almost
Yeah,
10 games he missed.
yeah, and
17
so
goals in
again,
27 games, I don't think that's actually too bad, but I understand what you're saying because at the end of last season, my triple captain was the last double game week, and I got over 100 points with Kane.
yeah,
So I understand. Yeah, in the last 2 seasons, actually, Kane has been overperforming when it came to the end of the season. But I mean, this injury really held him back here.
yeah. So again, I'm not saying it's disappointing on his performances per se. It's that's what I meant was like as an asset, you know, like it was shocking to me how little I had him in my team.
Yeah, he was. But he is a high price asset also. So you have to
Yeah,
choose between the high price guys.
yeah. So you mentioned Jimenez was your best.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that you didn't mention Son.
Well,
I mean,
Son
like,
was missing during the thing where he went for that Asia Games and all that. So
yeah, and
yeah,
he
he
has
was
been
also a
knocking
nice
it off
to
form in
run.
the
But I
last
mean,
few weeks.
his price was a bit high when you started, and he was in a good team, so you expected him. Wolves just came into the season, yeah, and you were like, okay, I need to find someone, yeah. And then you all of a sudden you found 3 or 4 gems there, like Doherty and Jota. You know, there's
Yeah,
some value in that team.
yeah. They've been in terms of the teams in FPL points wise, they've been definitely Wolves have been the best out of those teams. But I also wanted to give a quick shout out to like smaller players like Delafeo. Not again, you know, these guys will never be super consistent or anything. But in terms of like the season, some of the whoppers he scored and some of the big hauls, like you know, he players like him would have been the reason you would be winning your mini league right now. And then
Yeah.
some of the others, like you know, the guys who you would have thought would be more consistent, your guys like Sigurdsson and stuff like that. Again, score in bursts and not do a lot. Um, then you've got your Callum Wilson, your solid performers who are cheap as well.
Oh,
So
Ryan Fraser was another good gem.
yeah, Fraser, he was what was his price in the start of the season? I'm just trying to look it up here.
Just go all the way to the bottom and then go right.
Yeah, I think he was. Oh, he also started on 5.5. and he's
Exactly.
now on 6.3.
And he's
Seven
got
goals and
7
14
goals,
assists.
14 assists. Wow.
Yeah, we must really look back at this list of players and see who was the gems here, because I think this season there was a little bit maybe too much focus on some of the bigger players we thought would do well, and they
Yeah,
didn't
I've done it
really
already.
perform.
I've got it on my board already, so I'm ready for next season.
Okay, check this out, Suj. I'm just looking at the points here. Let me just see if I can. I can't pull this up to the side here. I'm just looking here quickly at Hazard versus Sterling. Hazard is 11.0, Sterling 11.7, right?
Yeah,
Sterling has 229 points,
yeah,
Hazard 237.
yeah.
And we say that, and people are saying that Hazard had a bad season.
No, I think you're looking at the price like that and making a misconception there. That the price is only that high because people have been bringing him in because he's in the city.
Ah,
He's been scoring fat goals.
yes. Okay, no, no, you are right. You are right. I'm just looking at the start price. Well, Sterling started on 11, and then are you thinking Hazard dropped from?
Yeah, and also started at 11, isn't it?
Let's just check. And Hazard started on 10.5. So there goes that theory.
500,000, that's
Yeah,
nothing.
but I mean, again, it just shows how weird your perception in the season is, right? Because Hazard, we can't lie, his performances haven't been 100% solid. But perhaps it's not his fault. Perhaps it's the fact that Chelsea have changed coach, and this coach here is like his style of play is so.
So isn't that an example of consistency where he's not shining but he's getting the points?
Well, I would say that again, he's another one that he scored more. Like, how can I say? Like, he'd have a small burst, then he'd do nothing. Like, look from game week 9 to about game week 16, nothing. Couple of assists. He scored like 3 or 4 assists there.
Yeah, that's consistency, consistent points.
Well, okay, look, maybe you're right. Maybe you are right. And then again, that just shows that we need to pay, like, during the season, you should actually take stock and see where these guys are performing, you know?
Yes.
Like, look at the patterns and see, like, if somebody is, like, coming in or out, what's the other circumstances, you know? Are they playing Champions League at the moment? Are they not playing Champions League?
Are their wives pregnant? Are they having a falling out with their side girlfriends? You know, all
Yeah.
those types of
Did they
things.
sleep with Wayne Bridges' wife? You don't
Yeah,
know. We don't know what happened.
you need to know it all.
Yeah. And hopefully, Fantasy and Big Points Theory will be bringing you that news.
Yeah. I think you should relocate me there to England and then I'd be in the heart of it and I'd be able to give you the best type of news there is.
Okay. I'll just go and win the lotto and do that for you.
If any of the fans out there have spare couple of billion laying around.
Spare billions. Yeah. I think if I had a few spare billions, I'd rather buy United. But anyway, right. Let's move on to Neil again. Neil's going to be talking about what he thought of the Premier League itself, I think. I hope. Well, you know, he's a Man United fan, so, you know.
Yeah, he can be
But let's see what he had to say. No, wait, sorry. I've actually gone past him there.
change his voice.
Yeah, no. Sorry. Who I'm talking about next is. I've put
Yeah.
this in the wrong order. No, that's fine. Actually, it's we're talking to G again. He had something that was. He brought up something that I thought was very interesting about how people play the FPL itself. So yeah, let's see. Here we go.
The one thing I hated about this FPL season, it's actually a shout out to Ovation and his ghost team, as we called it. He never made one transfer the entire season, and guess what? Yeah, he's finishing above me in our mini league. Um, his team had multiple injuries, and the players that he did have were just scoring double digits. And yeah, this guy is actually, I think, top 10 in our league. I stand to be corrected. But yeah, that's the one thing that cheesed me off. But yeah, congratulations, Avi. Hopefully you'll actually play the game next season and challenge our top guns.
So yeah, bringing up an interesting thing there about how a ghost. He referred to a ghost team. I wonder
Yeah.
if that's like an actual term, like an FPL term. You
Yes,
know,
indeed.
some of the biggest, you get those usual terms like bad gay week and
Yeah,
good gay week and
yeah.
stuff like that. But ghost team, have you encountered many ghost teams?
Yeah, there's millions of ghost teams, man. When you're playing that cup, you come up against some of those ghost teams.
How did you do in the cup, to be honest?
I went 4 game weeks in. Yeah.
Yeah, I went one
No
zero
way.
game
You didn't even
zero because I
qualify.
didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Yo, no, it was a bad season. Though. It was a
But yeah,
bad
look at
season.
it now. That team that she was talking about there was a vision. That team had Salah captain from the start, never changed, and he's over 2,000 points.
Yeah, exactly. So it's weird, right? You can pick a solid team from the beginning, but I mean, what are the chances? You know, I don't know.
Quite good if it's for that, though, because he knows nothing, well, very little about football.
Um, but I mean, okay. But then, would you say that
Yeah, but you
that
see, but
like
it's not fun then, man. Then you're
no, no,
not part and parcel of the soap opera we call the Premier League. You know, it's nice. I mean, it's like when I watch the Premier League. Who wants to watch Brighton versus Fulham on a Saturday evening prime game? Nobody, unless you got a fantasy player there. Then you'll have a quick squiz of what's going on there.
But I wonder if some of these ghost teams are not like they play like spot betting almost. Imagine if they were like there's a head to head league, there's like a whole bunch of types of leagues, right? But
Mm.
imagine if the game had a league where every week you play a free hit.
Yeah, there are people who do that, create specific ghost teams just to challenge for the game week points for the for
Yeah,
that
they,
game week.
and I'm sure there's probably gambling involved there. Where I mean, like sometimes when I look at the teams that people have, like they scored 160 in a week, where only 8 teams were playing, and I'm like,
Yeah,
but how did you do this? And then you
yeah.
see transfers 25, you know.
Yeah, but see, that's not how you play this game.
But I mean, wouldn't it be interesting though to play a little bit of a league where every week you choose a different team and then like have your tally up your points? Like the game would obviously need to be fixed or changed so that you don't get like in that league you don't get penalized for transfers, but you can make as many transfers as you want. I guess a lot more people will be close to each other, but again, it's like imagine if that was like more like a FA Cup type deal where everybody can pick whoever they want, and then then your knowledge on differentials will really pay off because you're playing against someone else who can pick anyone they want, which means
Yeah,
you definitely cannot just go for the same old players.
yeah, that would be luck. Huh?
It'll be an interesting idea, right?
Yeah, but I
Um,
think G's problem is that ghost team is beating him.
yeah. It, yo, I must check if I'm not one of the victims as well.
Yes, you are.
Okay, let's move on very quickly from that. And we, I had Robin again, and he brings up something that's very interesting. I was asking him about like what he thought of like just like the whole global reach of like FPL and like what's happening. Like it's amazing to see that there's like over 3 million people just playing the Premier Leagues, the FA's fantasy league game, right? But there's so
See,
many others. There's like Sky and BBC and all of those companies. They all have their own fantasy league games. And it's
yeah,
a far cry from where it used to be in the like 20 years ago, where people were playing it, at the betting house or playing in the pub, and someone was keeping track of it on a chalkboard or something like that. Yeah, but yeah, it's amazing. So I just asked him like, what was like his thing that he really loved about the fantasy league this year, So yeah, here we go.
I've been playing fantasy football since it started, and for me, this year what I loved about it is not actually the game itself, but sort of the rise of content creators. So I found a lot of YouTubers who have been offering totally different points of views on how to pick teams, whether it be just choosing a captain or being strategic about the game weeks. And I really found it super engaging to find that aspect. And I suppose they've always been there, but I feel that there's definitely a big rise in content creation.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're listening to that, I mean, it's very true, eh? Like he said, the biggest aspect that he loved about the about FPL in general is the rise of content creators, and
Mm,
I mean, look, he's definitely bang on the money. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
there's another Okie that I follow there on YouTube. His name is Davey FPL. He's also a South African dude. He's like also he's very highly ranked. I think last I looked, he was 39th in the world.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's nice to see that in South Africa we have Owens that are, playing the game very seriously. And we wouldn't have known about them if it wasn't for this content that they're putting out.
Yeah, and I mean, in an effort for us to get content for our channel, we're obviously looking through like that guy's channel and looking
Yeah.
up websites. Like, I mean, I've got a bunch of websites that I like to go through to kind of try and see what their information is. I guess the whole idea behind our channel, obviously, is not that we're not necessarily the experts or doing brilliantly. And actually, before I carry on with that, I was gonna say here's a bunch of podcasts that I listen to. You can see just how many there are, right? I particularly like Always Cheating and Who Got the Assist.
I love Fantasy Football Scout.
Oh, is the Fantasy Football Scout your one? Okay.
I love that.
And yeah, and so like some of these guys obviously will take on the stats and whatever, but I think that the main drive for our channel here is not that we necessarily are the best players in the world, although I definitely want to improve on that. I definitely want to improve on that. So
Yes,
to
you
actually
should.
back up our choices.
Yes,
But
you should.
mainly it's to provide people like, especially South African viewers, maybe like a quick way. Because I mean, as we said, right, you definitely need these stats and information, and you know that most people can't be watching the games and can't be checking out all these websites and whatever. They got real jobs. So we hoping here that what we will do for you is we will consolidate that information and just give you maybe just the relevant bits. I think we
Yes.
just want to try and help those people. I need to make my changes. The Friday game is on, and let me see what these guys had to say.
Yeah, look, we can choose also any accent you want us to do it in. Sutu, Zulu,
No, we can't.
Colored, Indian.
I can
Only
do
you don't want to dub, like a fast, like you what's happening in the league.
the best I can do is in Maleven. Yeah, I make a triple captain. Yeah, I take a captain. I put in oven and I make oven on. That's
Isn't
that's as best,
isn't
that's the
that the
best I can
same
do.
guy who captained Lamela thinking his name was Malema?
Yeah, there were some weird ones I think Neil. Oh, I wish I had that audio still. I think Neil mentioned he says yeah, one of his favorite defenders from Liverpool was Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he meant to say Alex Arnold.
Now, I think he meant to say Excelsior Arnold because you can see how Marav has been doing this season.
Yeah, no, he's been good, eh? Yeah, I don't know, United.
No,
Never
no,
know.
no, don't go down that road.
Apparently, we don't know what an actual fullback is, so yeah. Well, anyway, before I cry about that any further, let's see what else is on the agenda here. Oh right, sure. I forgot to mention some of the stuff. Yeah, some of the podcasters and stuff where they get their stats from, Suj. So that Fantasy Scout you mentioned, they have their own pay for stats, right?
Yes.
And then there's plenty of others out there like Fantasy Football Fix. These
Yeah.
are these are like a bunch of websites that keep track of the stats during the season, and then you can pay for an account, and you can basically if people have been watching our show, we've been showing the captain picks in this stats view, and we
Yeah.
get that from Fantasy Football Fix.
Yeah.
It's a very nice website. It does give you a lot of information, but I
Yeah.
almost think sometimes there's a little bit of information overload.
Oh, is that the excuse you're using?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, this game is really it's become so popular. Its rise is still, I think it's still bigger than esports. Esports is like an actual sports now, where you
Yeah.
can follow video gamers, follow their career. You can even watch those guys' channels on YouTube to see how well they're doing in the game and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
mean, they make money off it. So I I don't believe that they. I mean, I do believe that at some point they will find a way to kind of like monetize. I mean, there's already like with the FPL game we play, the top players like I think the number one obviously gets like a huge prize, right? Like wins a car and etc. etc. But how long will it be before they make a league of like the best fantasy players in the world, and then like people can win money and stuff like that? Like
Many leagues at the moment, people do play for money.
but I mean, but they do that privately almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like an actual event where people will be checked every week and stuff like that, and then they'll talk through their picks and then make their picks, and then see how it goes live. Like there's so much scope for this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Moving on from that, I wanted to ask you.
But
Um,
just one more point to that
okay.
quickly. The evolution of this game and the amount of people that's playing it is actually quite cool because before when you used to walk out and talk to people and say, hey, you know what, this guy scored, they would say, oh, okay, cool, that's interesting. Now the first question that gets asked when you tell the guy, they're like, who are you like, um, Rooney scored. He said, oh, okay, who got the assist? you know, you're
Yeah.
like, you're like, I just told you who scored and your team is up. Are you asking me about this? Meanwhile, he's doing it from a fantasy perspective. You need to know how many points he's got. It's like your father, big Liverpool supporter. When Pogba scores, he had him in his team. It's like, oh, Pogba scored. Yo, I got some nice points, but who got the assist? Maybe I got them or some. You know?
That's funny because it really is. This game is blurring the line between like in your fandom, right? You heard Neil earlier speak about like how he had a terrible season because of the Man United players. One
Yeah.
thing I've learned definitely, I mean I think I learned, is that what you cannot do in this FPL game is like the guys who are Liverpool fans amazingly are doing well this season, right?
Yeah.
The City fans, amazingly well. The Man United fans, not so good. Right?
Amazingly bad.
Yeah. Does that not just tell you you can't be like you can't support your team through the FPL?
Yeah, you can't play with your heart.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, if you're lucky and your team's doing well, then yes. But otherwise, like, but don't you love those moments when you're like, right, it's Liverpool versus United, and you're like, right, we want Liverpool to not win the title, but you also have Salah and Mane in your team.
Yeah, look, also FPL has broken down communication barriers. I mean, sometimes I'll be just standing and you'll be talking with a bunch of people, and then as soon as you find somebody who starts talking about fantasy, it's game over after that. Now you're going to talk about your team, how well you've been doing, all your stats, all the guys in your mini league. You'll have something to talk about, and it's nice. I really like. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Right, let's move on to what I want to talk about now is a bit more about the actual season, not necessarily FPL related.
Okay.
So I've got Neil here, but I've got also maybe an interesting visual that you can tell me what you think about it afterwards. Let's see here. All right, let's move on to and here we go.
What I didn't like about the Premier League this season is that normally we talk about a top 6, but it seems like it's become a top 2. Liverpool and Man City are just leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of the pack. I'd like to see the title race be a bit more closer in terms of other, maybe the top 4 teams competing till the last of the season. It has been, how can I say, it has been quite a close race between City and Liverpool, each pushing each other to better themselves. Yeah, I think that's it. But obviously, in terms of being a Man United fan, I'm quite disappointed in our finish at the end. Um, yeah, we will have to rebuild. Okay.
We will have to rebuild. Yeah. So what do you think of this? Does this not perfectly explain the season in a nutshell?
Yes, it does. However, there should be one more in jail there with a Chelsea badge because they are. I think they're banned now from making any changes and stuff like that.
Oh yes, the transfer ban. But I
Yeah,
was under the impression the transfer ban would come in not this very next season, but the following season.
yeah, but still put him in jail.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so let's talk it from left to right there. So the monopoly there, you can see I've got Manchester City on top,
Yeah,
um,
the
and then
edition.
Liverpool. And don't you love that community chest there?
Yeah, the
But
best
that
one
might
is
I might have to change that visual and then swap the card around.
you never know. You
Yeah,
never
you
know.
never know. And I mean, talking about the in jail, they're not just in jail. Don't you love the just visiting? Because aren't these Cardiff? Well, Cardiff was there last season, weren't they?
In the relegation. No, they got promoted this season.
Oh, right, right. These are all three of the promoted teams are going straight back down.
Yes.
Or
No, Huddersfield
Huddersfield.
was here.
Yeah, Huddersfield was here.
Wolves was the other one that got.
Oh, right, right, right. So yeah. So out of those, obviously, they are just visiting and they're going straight back where they came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then advance to the Champions League. Yeah, I mean, look, this season, if since we are here now, let's talk about the fact that there's an all English final, Champions League, all English, Europa, and United are not involved.
Yeah, I don't know what you want to talk about there.
Look, there's a possibility of there being five English teams in the Champions League next season. You know, because whoever wins the if Chelsea are currently in third, right? I think they're unassailable, so Arsenal can't get in that way, and it's highly mathematically impossible that they'll overtake Tottenham now. But if Arsenal win the Europa, then they are granted an automatic place in the Champions League, right? Spurs, regardless of whether they win or not, they could win the Champions League and then they definitely secured. Then the mathematical possibility falls away. Um, and then Chelsea could lose the Europa final, but they're in third right now,
Yeah.
so they'd have to play a qualifier, of course.
Okay.
And Spurs could also play a qualifier.
Okay.
And then I think uh, City are playing in the FA Cup final, right?
Yes.
So if they lose to Watford,
Yeah.
Watford will also be in the Europa, which means there could be up to 3 or 4 teams in the Europa as well.
This is all I heard from that was if Watford win, United are out of everything. Then there's no Europe, no nothing.
Maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe that would be a good thing. I mean, okay, right, since we are on this, let's talk about it. United.
Go back 3 spaces.
Tell me that's not an appropriate graphic for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Definitely.
mean, but not just them, not just United. I mean, Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, and United. All four of these teams, they've basically had multiple opportunities, multiple upon multiple opportunities to just secure their position, and they've thrown it away week in, week out. You just didn't know what was happening there. So
Okay,
in that
well,
sense, it was interesting, but I don't know if I would say interesting considering they're all losing on the same weekends.
yeah, but look, out of all those teams, United have greedy owners who put their hands in their pockets and keep all the money to themselves instead of putting it into the club. What's the rest of the Owens' excuses?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so at least we can say maybe United do have a decent excuse, but you're talking about United, so you cannot say that this is the season effort. Last season, I was watching a couple of videos and they brought up the same point, especially like Gary Neville and co. The pundits were like, when Mourinho said last season that United came second last season, okay, we thought we were actually going to challenge for the title. God forbid. When Mourinho at the end of last season said, "This is my greatest achievement,"
Yeah.
everybody and their mother ridiculed him.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what do you have to say about that?
Well, they're all wrong because he was absolutely right. The fact that he took these players playing like this to second, wow.
Yeah, and I mean, it just shows that like this squad, like as much as we like, you might say on paper, perhaps we have better players than Arsenal. I don't think that's strictly true. I think a lot of these players are playing purely on reputation. I mean, yes, Oli came in, like Mourinho going out was the right decision, I thought, right? Oli comes in, there's a big boost, and then it starts disappearing. How can Oli's philosophy in that just change? Like, so that they fall apart completely?
I have no idea, dude.
Do you think it's a possibility that okay? So there's a number of factors that people have basically been saying, right? Like Mourinho, first of all, had the team in the start, right? Which means he would have done the preseason to his game plan.
Yeah.
So when Oli came and he started pushing these guys and they were doing their thing, clearly high energy, high press, all that stuff, and maybe their stamina and stuff just ran out completely for the season because Oli pushed them too hard too quickly, and he didn't make a lot of changes in that time. And and just as we were hitting our peak, we lost Lingard, we lost Martial, we lost Rashford to injuries, right? Quite a few injuries were coming up, and then when these guys came back, they never had time to recover, you know? So there is that explanation that could explain why we just like fell apart. Do you think there's any credence to that?
Possibly, but look, I just think that these players are completely not useless, but I don't know. They have no motivation to play because I don't see how what has changed from the time Oli took over till now. It's only been less than 6 months. What the
But
hell
yeah,
changed?
what about the idea that this slump really happened after Oli signed the deal?
Yeah, it definitely happened after that. I don't understand why they did that also because surely they should have given him till the end of the season to see how far he gets and then offered him the contract.
You would think so, but apparently not. You know,
Well,
look, a
maybe
lot
give
of
him.
fans. You have to blame the fans a little because the fans were like, "Only at the wheel," blah 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 blah, and then guess what happens?
Maybe when they gave him the job, he decided, you know what, okay, the season is over now. Let me rather just start building for next season, and whatever happens, the season happens because he's got the job.
So you think maybe there's a bit of slack on his side?
Not slack, but more of a concentration on doing better next season and just finishing off this one.
To the point where we threw away fourth spot. I don't know. I don't think so, Suj.
You
I
know,
think
do so much that you can't get the manager to run on the field. Listen, when we played Huddersfield, there was a glimmer of hope that maybe with goal difference we could still get fourth. The players had no motivation or any inclination to even try to score more goals than what they did.
yeah.
So I don't know how much you can blame him for that. So I would think if I was a manager and I saw that, I would say, you know what, I really need to clean this place up. And now that the season's almost over, let me rather just start planning for next season and get over with it and get this thing right.
Look, okay, I'll agree to you. I'll agree with you to a point. I mean, to be honest, at this point in time, we are at our lowest point that we've been since Fergie left, right?
Or ever.
I don't want to say ever. I mean, we weren't there in the good old 70s and all that. But I mean, I know what you mean. Like ever and since we've been watching, right? But there's also something to be said that like when you watch all these press conferences in the last few, right? That might have helped demotivate the players. I mean, he basically said, nah, but I totally agree with him. One of the best things he said was, he says, "Listen, I'm going to be a success at this club. I'm going to be a success." Now, some of the players might not be part of that success.
Yeah.
To me,
I,
that is signaling his intent. If he's gonna achieve anything, and I mean, yes, he doesn't really have a history or anything like that. Like people will people will find every little thing to try and say like, no, he's definitely not good for the job. If you watch ESPN, that great burly guy, he's totally against all. He's like, nah, he said from the beginning he's gonna be crap and he's gonna be terrible and blah blah blah. And I'm like, as if people like Zidane and Pep didn't exist, you know,
yeah.
managers who came out of their playing career, took the reserves, went to another team, came back and then played and then made a success. Yes, it's very rare, but I think Oli has the right like option. He has the everything about him ticks the boxes, right? Now, is he our long-term coach? I don't know, but his attitude is already in the correct spot. I think his tactics definitely need to improve. I mean, he's like you can tell he's tactically naive in some of the games, you know. But we obviously I want to give him a chance. Whereas like with Van Gaal and with Moyes, I never from the start I wasn't really interested in giving them a chance because I didn't feel they were the right managers with the right philosophy. And Mourinho was just like he was the guy who you says has the history, the experience, the this, the that, and even he like I never saw him like smiling and being happy to be at Manchester. I think he just used the right words without actually truly meaning them.
Yeah, listen, this will take a whole nother video for us to discuss this thing finish. Eh?
Yeah, no, agreed, agreed.
I don't like going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Okay, but one last thing though. Um, would you? How do you think we will like? Where do you think? Where do you see us going from here?
No, like I said to you, brother, it's going to take a long conversation for me to be able to tell you all this. It's not. There's no one answer. There's so much wrong at United that every time I think about it, I feel sick to my stomach because when the base of the club is not right, how do you expect anything else to go right? No matter what plans you make, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, no, I see what you're saying. I see what you're
But
saying.
there to support you. I mean, Liverpool have shown when the owner supports the manager, what happens.
Yeah, yeah. When your club has a plan, and I think maybe that's what if there's one change I can say United really need to make is planning. Like, spend some time planning. You know.
Well, you can plan, but if they override you at the end of the day, like when Mourinho wanted these transfers and they didn't give him who he wanted, then what do you do?
Yeah. No, no, no.
Then,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
So I mean, so basically, Glazer's out again.
not again. It's always been like that.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so yeah, let's get into the last. I think I've got the one last voice note here. Not sure who I've got here. Let's just check. And here we go.
What I liked about the Premier League this season is its unpredictability that, like the Premier League normally is, no games are given. There's quite a few surprises. Um, in terms of Manchester United, um, Ollie's first run was quite impressive. It was
Oh
great
no
to
no
see
no
the
no no
team
no! This is more crying. I think
play
well, let's
towards.
skip that. Let's skip.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's different.
so to try and be on a more positive note, uh, yeah, winter break is coming here,
I
and
wonder how,
what's this?
I wonder how that winter break is going to work next season. Don't they know we need our football during Christmas and stuff?
Yeah, no, for sure. It'll be boring next season, more boring.
Yeah, at least Christmas had meaning with football, but now,
And there's something to be said that the fact that there's an all English Champions League final, all English Europa final, but the biggest thing that people have always said, like, why don't England perform better in Europe? It's the best Europe, it's the best league in the world, and blah blah blah. But they don't perform. And then the argument has always been that all the other leagues have a winter break, and the English Premier League doesn't. Obviously, for good reason. I mean, the English love their football over the winter break. You know.
yeah.
Um, but maybe there is something to be said, like these players. I wonder the fact that our traditional top six, other than the top two, haven't performed well. Could it be because of like playing World Cup games and qualifiers and all that shit? Like it's just too much, you know. And maybe the winter break will have a positive view. Then maybe we can like during a winter break take a break as a FPL manager and have a look at the stats and see what the trends are. Like it actually gives you a chance instead of breakneck pace, making changes every week, and then this guy flops, and then you go and you make the next week you make another change. You take a guy out that you just brought in.
Yeah, no,
Maybe
I fully agree with you. But I think the only thing that's too much in that whole scenario is how much they get paid. They get paid so much money, bro. Why do they need a break? I mean, normal people when they work, they don't say, "Hey, oh well, they do need leave."
yeah,
True. Okay, so maybe it would be better. Maybe the entertainment value will go up also. I'm
yeah.
just glad that they get paid so much money and they get the choice of having such luxury jobs.
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. Um, but okay, I was just thinking like with a winter break and that will be coming up, that actually might give us more time to do a little bit more with our videos. Like we might be able to go on to more talking points. Like for next season, I think we want to make quite a few changes on the channel, right?
Yeah.
Like we definitely want to get like better equipment, better lighting. I think that's some of the stuff. I want to do some editing as well. Like coming up with these images and stuff. I think these images are so like these graphics are nice because it allows us to kind of talk into these different topics.
Yeah.
And then like maybe we can expand our captain choices, or do you think it's better we just stick? Because I
I,
mean, some people
I
have had positive feedback on like our talking about the differentials because everyone already knows more or less who the major captain picks are.
Yeah, basically. They're basically the same group of Owens every week.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought our videos were getting a little bit stale there. We were, and then you like came up with the idea of like just changing it up. Let's just talk the differentials, you know. And
Yeah.
some like there have been some weird ones that have come up. I'm not too familiar with like have we actually predicted a differential that exploded? I think maybe one or two we mentioned Jota and Doherty, and then I think Delafeo also paid off.
Yeah, you see, we need a way of measuring how well we've done with our picks. Just
Yeah,
for our own sakes and for the sake of the people that are listening, because I mean, who wants to listen to a bunch of Owens that know nothing?
yeah, no, fair. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And then maybe what we can do is maybe start of next season before the season starts, maybe a week before, we can do a bit of a season prediction video. Then
Yeah.
that way we can actually track how well did we predict it.
What we should do is predict who we think will be relegated. So we can have it on camera. So at the end of the season, we can see who really was right. Because it seems that the teams change when we speak about them during the year. And mostly I'm speaking about myself. Because I always do that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It'd be fun to see, man, if we can predict, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, we would like to have some bona fides as well, you know,
Yeah.
prove that we can pick some stuff out. But yeah, that's it for this season, I guess.
I'm not a Game of Thrones fan. I don't watch it at all, but I'm sure there should be something you could say about the winter break and them.
Yeah.
In a bit.
Oh well, look, I mean, obviously we going into our winter break here in South Africa, but there was an interesting graphic talking about Game of Thrones, where there's a scene in this season 8 episode 4. That's like the last season that's currently going on.
Oh, the disappointing episode.
Yeah, it's one of the disappointing ones. There's two dragons flying in the sky. For
Yeah.
some reason, even though you are riding a dragon in the sky, you can't see a fleet of ships. Okay, the ship then shoots spears and they kill one of the dragons, right? So someone came up with a Twitter meme where it's basically it's a screen cap of the one dragon being shot, and
Yeah.
what they've done is they've put a Barcelona symbol on it, and then the other dragon is looking at the one being killed, right? And that
Yeah.
one has an Ajax one, and this came out the day after Tottenham won that game, and it says there, what does it say? Oh, how dumb! That won't happen to me.
That's a good one. Yeah, that sounds nice. I
Yeah,
love memes that come out where that people think of. Fucking
yeah.
fun.
I think we must also do like PewDiePie, you know, do meme reviews on like the FPL and stuff like that, you know, every
Yeah.
now and then pull out. Well, we did do that. I think we did do that a couple of times, but like make it a regular thing that people might be entertained by that.
Yeah.
But other than that, we didn't actually mention the Champions League victories and all that stuff.
Because
Like,
we're not there, so we don't want to.
there is that, yeah.
But shame, shout outs. I'm thinking Liverpool will probably win it, but I'd be fantastic for Poch if he could win it.
Oh, with the Champions League, yeah, yeah. No, for a second you were scaring me. I lost the breath there. I thought you were saying Liverpool are gonna win today.
Oh, no, they are going to win today.
No, I mean win the title.
Oh, no, none of that.
Okay, but okay, so just to end this off quickly, what's your prediction that's gonna happen here today?
City to win the title with a score of 2-0.
Okay, and who cares about the rest, basically?
Yeah, we'll give it that. There's nothing to play for. You know, it's a different thing if Brighton was still fighting in the relegation, then maybe Liverpool would have a chance. But unfortunately, the relegation battle is over. The fight for fourth and third is over.
Yeah, yeah. No, agreed. Well, that's it for the season. As I said, I'm struggling to find a way to end this. You know, it's going to be dull and dreary after this. Although we do have a couple of finals to look out for.
Yeah, but this is the
But
last.
you can't help but look at it in a disappointed manner because you know we're not involved.
Yeah, but we should shake our asses and try to do better.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Yeah, so Suj, catch you next season, and hopefully anybody who's still fighting for their league is gonna make that one change that's gonna bring them to the win.
Yeah, hopefully, Shay, man, and hopefully I win that Champions League one.
That would be very nice. I'll get you a Champions League top if you do that.
Can't be a United Champions League top. Yeah, Champions League.
Oops, damn! I was gonna give you one of my old ones. like 2013, 2008 shirt, because that's when it was last relevant.
I want to say is to whoever watched all our shows or at least had an opportunity to watch one or two, thanks for all the support.
Yeah, oh, how can I? Yeah, that's a massive oversight. Yeah, I would also like to say thanks to everyone who did watch and people who gave us suggestions, the guys who provided us with their voice notes and their opinions. It really matters to us. We really want to improve this thing. Yes, I mean, some people might say like amateurish. Of course, amateurish. Like we gotta start somewhere. All these big channels, these fan channels. I really think, Suj, I would like to bring this channel to a point where we can become like a fan channel, like Full Time Devils or Arsenal
Oh,
Fan TV, but for FPL. Like
okay.
go out there and talk to, like, after a game, go talk to Man United fans, Liverpool fans, see what they thought, how their FPL teams are doing.
Yeah.
There's so much scope, and these people who have been there from the beginning, we want your input, and we want you to continue to watch us. So that's why we are open to all your suggestions.
Yes. And if we interview any of you for the show, don't be surprised if it's mostly ladies. Well, because they're into FPL now. I don't know why you're laughing.
Okay, yeah, no, no,
Ulterior motives whatsoever.
ulterior motives whatsoever. Okay, cheers, Suj.
Okay. Keep well, buddy.